देवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. So Hare Krishna, this evening we are reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 16, last verse number 24, the divine and demonic natures. Verse 24, Tasma Shastram Pramanam Te Tasma Shastram Pramanam Te Karya Karya Vyavastithau Karya Karya Vyavastithau Gyatva Shastra Vidhanoktam Gyatva Shastra Vidhanoktam Karma Kartum Yaharhasi Karma Kartum Yaharhasi Tasma Shastram Pramanam Te Karya Karya Vyavastithau Gyatva Shastra Vidhanoktam Karma Kartum Yaharhasi Tasma Shastram Pramanam Te Karya Karya Vyavastithau Gyatva Shastra Vidhanoktam Karma Kartum Yaharhasi Tasma Shastram Vidhanoktam Karya Karya Vyavastithau Gyatva Shastra Vidhanoktam Karma Kartum Yaharhasi. Tasma Shastram Pranam Karya Karya Vyavastithau Karma Kartum Yaharhasi. Anybody else? Okay, Mataji's. Tasma Shastram Pramanam Te Karya Karya Vyavastithau Gyatva Shastra Vidhanoktam Karma Kartum Yaharhasi. Tasmat, therefore, Shastram, the scriptures, Pramanam, evidence, Te, your, Karya, duty, Akarya, and forbidden activities, Vyavastithau, in determining, Gyatva, knowing, Shastra, of scripture, Vidhana, the regulations, Uktam, as declared, Karma, work, Kartum, do, Iha, in this, Arhasi, you should. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Ki. Translation. One should therefore understand what duty and what is not duty by regulations of the scriptures. Knowing such rules and regulations, one should act so that he may gradually be elevated. Translation. Purport. As stated in the 15th chapter, all the rules and regulations of the Vedas are meant for knowing Krishna. If one understands Krishna from Bhagavad Gita and becomes situated in Krishna consciousness, engaging himself in devotional service, he has reached the highest perfection of knowledge offered by the Vedic literature. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made this process very easy. He asked people simply to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, and to engage in the devotional service of the Lord and eat the remnants of foodstuff offered to the deity. One has to directly engage in all these devotional activities is to be understood as having studied all Vedic literatures. He has come to the conclusion perfectly. Of course, for the ordinary persons who are not in Krishna consciousness or who are not engaged in devotional service, what is to be done and what is not to be done must be decided by the injunctions of the Vedas. One should act accordingly without argument. That is called following the principles of Shastra or scripture. Shastra is without the four defects that are visible in the conditioned soul: imperfect senses, the propensity for cheating, certainty of committing mistakes, and certainty of being illusioned. These four principal defects in the conditioned life disqualify one from putting forth rules and regulations. Therefore, the rules and regulations as described in the Shastra being alone, these defects are accepted without alteration by all great saints, acharyas and great souls. In India, there are many parties of spiritual understanding, generally classified as two, the impersonalist and the personalist. Both of them, however, lead their lives according to the principles of the Vedas. Without following the principle of scriptures, one cannot elevate himself to the perfectional stage. One who actually therefore understands the purport of the Shastras is considered fortunate. In human society, aversion to principle of understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead is cause of all fall downs. That is the greatest offense of human life. Therefore, Maya, the material energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is always giving us trouble in the shape of threefold miseries. This material energy is constituted of three modes of material nature. One has to raise himself at least to the mode of goodness before the path to understanding the Supreme Lord can be opened. Without raising oneself to the standard of the mode of goodness, one remains in ignorance and passion, which are the cause of demoniac life. Therefore, in the mode of passion and ignorance, mode of passion and ignorance deride the scriptures, deride the holy man, and deride the proper understanding of Supreme Personality of Godhead. They disobey the injunctions of the spiritual master and they do not care for the regulations of the scriptures. In spite of hearing the glories of devotional service, they are not attracted. Thus, they manufacture their own way of elevation. These are some of the defects of human society which lead to the demoniac status of life. If, however, one is able to be guided by a proper and bona fide spiritual master who can lead one to the path of elevation, to the higher stage, then one's life becomes successful. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports to the 7th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of the divine and demoniac natures. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmitamena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Ramu Rama Ramu Hare Hare. Hare Bol. Here Krishna explains Arjuna that one should therefore understand what is duty and what not duty by the regulations of the scriptures. Knowing such rules and regulations, one should act so that he may gradually be elevated. So we should know that because we are human beings, we are being regulated by do's and don'ts. If we study Ashtanga Yoga, there is a mention of yama and niyama. There are rules and regulations. So here Krishna, because he doesn't want Arjuna to commit mistakes. So Krishna first he told in the beginning of the chapter that don't worry, you are born with divine qualities. Then the most of the chapter here what we see, it and explains about the demonic qualities of especially demons. So here Krishna is concluding, so one should know what to be done, what is not to be done by the regulation of the scriptures. So we should know there is a saying, ignorance of law, no excuse. Because we are governed by the laws of material nature, especially human beings. So there is exception except human beings for other movable and immovable scripture, creatures in the material world. So here Krishna wanted that Arjuna, he should understand what is prescribed and what is forbidden action. And in such a way Arjuna should fight as his karma to teach other people that they should not follow on his path. So also in the scripture what we see, there is one Upanishad. There are 108 Upanishad. There is one Upanishad called Kena Upanishad. Also there is one book called Prashna Upanishad. Kena means question in Sanskrit. Kastvam, who are you? So Kena means question. So in this scripture there is a questions made. So as a human being we have the prerogative. So only a human beings can inquire is why this is happening to me. So we see when the brothers Sanatana Goswami, Rupa Goswami, they met Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They made the similar question. Kene ami, kene amane, japa tapa try. So who we don't know. In material sense, we are considered as biggest, very highly learned people. But we don't know why we are suffering in the material world. So also we should know dharmo itesham adhiko vishesho. So that means we have the higher prerogative of inquiring as a human being. So Prabhupada explains that in everyday life we need to be guided by some higher authorities in all walks of life, because we are governed by certain laws of nature. What we see in the material nature, except humankind, you see all the animals, birds, they follow the laws of nature. You will see all the birds, morning they get up, Brahma Muhurat, maybe before sunrise, like that. But you will find human beings sleeping even after 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock. And in the evening what we see, the birds, they are coming to their nest, they are resting, they don't make any noise in the night, they don't have night parties. So what we see in the human beings, we are only doing all unwanted things. So here what Prabhupada explains, because we are governed by certain laws, so if we don't follow the right path, then we are deviating from the scriptures, and for that we have to pay for that, whatever we do. So we see in the material world, we are governed, any country, any place, wherever you go. So there are rules, regulations everywhere. So if you go by airlines, in the airline also there is a rules and regulations. So you have to go through so many security check. Then when you sit in the aircraft, the air hostess, she will show you something, what to put on, how to omit so many things. And if the aircraft is going down, what to tie up. So okay. So similarly in the railways, if you go by road traveling and also in some places they drive on the left side, some countries they drive on the left side. So wherever you go, school, universities, there are certain prohibited areas, army, defense areas. Then also if you go in swimming pool, if you don't know swimming, then also there are some rules, regulation. If you go to some garden, don't pluck the flowers, isn't it? So if you go to hospital, silence zone, prison house also, if you see material world, these rules all apply only to human beings. This is what we see in a higher sense. These are applicable only to human beings. So I can't say I didn't know. Like supposing if I go to some country in Europe, because in India they keep left, there they keep right. So there if I go and if I drive the other side, then the police will find me. We should know. So I can't say no, this is like in India. In India it is like the rules for us human beings, because we have made these rules, it may change on a material sense. But on a higher level, the rules are similar. The laws of karma for human beings, all they are same. What Prabhupada gives one good example, like for the killing of an animal, a person who sells the animal, one who buys the animal, one who kills the animal, one who buys the meat, one who cooks, one who serves and one who eats, all are equally responsible. Human being. See, if that same thing happens with the animal, if one tiger is catching one deer, if 10 tigers they eat, they are not equally responsible. So there the rule doesn't apply. So here what we see, because we are human beings, we can't say no, everything is one. Not like that. So in the scriptures there are many aphorisms. So there are instructions given, like Ishopanishad explains, Isha Vasham Idam Sarvam Jagat, that everything moving and non-moving is being governed or controlled by the Supreme Lord or owned by the Supreme Lord. Knowing which we should take only our quota, we should not take others' quota. This is what is mentioned in the Ishopanishad. So what we see in the first mantra itself, it explains. So this way, there are so many quotes in the scripture. In the Srimad Bhagavatam also, the first verse 1.1.1, it explains that, anyone knows what is 1.1.1? Janmada Asya Yatha. So in that mentioned that the absolute truth, the primal cause of all causes of creation, sustenance and destruction of the manifested universes, is directly or indirectly conscious of all manifestations. Conscious means he knows. So also, especially in the human being, for the human beings it is mentioned in the Vedanta Sutra, Athato Brahma Jigyasa. It is a prerogative for human beings. Now in the human form of life, one should inquire, who am I? Where from I have come? Also what we see, Tasmad Gurum Prapadyante Jigyasu Shreya Uttama. Also it is mentioned that one has to approach, one has to. It is not mentioned one dog has to approach or one cat has to approach a spiritual master. It is not mentioned like that. Also Rupa Goswami explains in Nectar of Devotion, Adav Guru Ashraya, that one has to take the shelter of a spiritual master. So these are the injunctions where in one sense they are like do's. In one sense they are do's. Yes, you have to do this. Only very few fortunate can understand, yes, this is what is happening. And Prabhupada in the Ishopanishad, in the this thing, one lecture, Prabhupada, in the introduction, one lecture is given, what Prabhupada gave in UK. So there Prabhupada mentions in India, what Prabhupada explains, in India people tell, if a person tell another person, you must do this, the other party may say, what do you mean? Is this a Vedic injunction? Is this a Vedic injunction? Is it mentioned in the scripture that what I have to do? That I have to follow you without any argument? Prabhupada explains, Vedic injunctions cannot be interpreted, but ultimately if you carefully study, then these injunctions are there and you will find that they are correct. Again further Prabhupada explains that the Vedas are not compilations of human beings. Vedic knowledge comes from spiritual world, from Lord Krishna, and Prabhupada explains another name of Veda is Shruti. Shruti means which is being heard directly. Then Prabhupada gives like for example, so he explains Shruti is considered like mother. We take so much knowledge from our mother. For example, if you want to know who your father is, who can answer you? Mother. Prabhupada writes he explains, you have to accept it. You can't experiment. What Prabhupada explains, that yes, you can't experiment with the DNA or blood group. That can't happen. And nowadays there is this thing about the different blood groups. What O, what B, what A can stand for. So material scientists, they are doing so much research, but they fail to understand what exactly the knowledge, how it comes from. So here Krishna explains Shastra Pramanam. Shastra Pramanam means, so we should know that acquiring knowledge, the knowledge in the scripture, there are 7 ways of acquiring knowledge, it is mentioned, 7 ways. But there are 3 ways of acquiring knowledge. The 3 ways, there is one is called Pratyaksha, Anuman, then the second is Pramana, Anuman, Pramana, Anuman Praman, and third is Shabda Praman. So Pratyaksha Praman means seeing is believing. In today's world, what they say, seeing is believing. Like recently I was on a tour, and one brahmachari, he was telling, like people today, because it is not raining, so people, they challenge the devotees, if you are a real devotee, make it rain, then we consider you as a pure. So what this devotee, he told, you guys, you are sinning and you want me to make the rain. Impossible. He said, I can't do that for you. Because you people are just sinning. This is because of your karma, it is not raining. So material world, what we see, today's people, seeing is believing. What they see, what they think is, this is what, it has to be like this. It cannot be like that. So there is one story in the Indian scriptures. So what they explain, like one time one guru, he was taking 5 of his disciples on a journey. So he was giving them some knowledge. So he was giving them the knowledge of living entities. So he was telling, see how the trees they are living. So one disciple asked Guruji, how the trees they are living. He said, can't you see the tree is moving, it is bearing fruits and flowers. They said, okay, nice, okay, the tree is living entity. So they were going like that, and they had to cross one river. So they came across one river. So one disciple asked, Guruji, how about the river? Is it alive or dead? So Guruji said, no, it is also living, because it is moving. So if it is living, then it may harm us. We should be very careful. It may take one of us, it may swallow, or it may drown one of us. So the Guruji was telling, if it is sleeping, we'll cross. So then they were speculating how to know whether the river is sleeping or it is awake. So one disciple, he concocted, he said, okay, we'll put a wood on fire and we'll put it in the water. If it doesn't make sound, that means the river is sleeping. So now when they put a fire to a log and they put it in the water, there was some sound was there. They said, oh, the river is active, it's not sleeping. So we have to be very careful to cross the river. So then they saw one person coming from the opposite side. He was coming on the horse and he crossed. Oh, what they said, okay, now we feel this river is now sleeping, let us cross. So they crossed, they went the other side. So now they were little again now in a doubt. So what they were feeling, maybe one of us must be lost. So the Guru, he told, okay, now stand, all of you stand in a line. He counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But he was not counting himself. So they were in a dilemma. Now one of us is lost. So there was one passerby. He saw, these guys are foolish. They don't know. So they are to be given nice kick. So what he told, I am an exorcist. I can get your drowned man back. So what you have to do, you have to stand in yoga position, close your eyes, bend down. And when I kick you on the back, so you have to say, utter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that, okay? So they agreed, and he said, you have to give me some money. Then only I'll do. So the Guru agreed ultimately. So this way what happened, including the Guru, the disciple, they stood in a line, they closed the eyes, they bent down. So this person, he kicked the first disciple, second, third, fourth, fifth. So on getting kicked, they were saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The Guru ultimately said 6. And he was very happy. Oh my God, our lost person got back. So he told, give him money, give him money. It's a very good person. So in material world, what we see, perfection means some people, unless they see, don't see, they say, oh no, I can't believe. You have to show me. Can you show me the God? Like in today's world, there are people, like during Prabhupada time, there was one scientist in Sri Lanka. His name was Dr. Kaur, and he used to do a challenging business. He used to tell, tomorrow we are going to challenge God. If there is God, he should come, Pratyaksha. He should come here, Pratyaksha Praman, and he should kick me, or he should fire me with his gun. So this way he was making people atheist. In Sri Lanka there was one scientist. When Brahmanand Prabhu, he went there, so he argued with him. This happened. So in material world, what we see in one sense, there are people, what they see, seeing is believing. Then the second way of understanding is that Anuman Praman. Anuman Praman means it is a speculative theory. Also today's scientists, it is as per their understanding, it is called theory of coherence. So what they think, okay, this may be like this may be like this. Like there is one story. In one village there was one millman, and one time one logician, he went to this millman to grind his grain. So in the olden time, what we see, there is a bull going round, all round. So when this logician, he went to grind his wheat, so he gave the wheat to the millman, and after some time the wheat was made into powder, wheat flour he got. So before going, he asked that millman, I have one question for you. So this villager, he said, I am a simple man, how can I answer a question, and you are a big logician, you know. So he said, no, this is related to your business only. I have one question, that your bull, it is going around, a bell is hanging. So supposing sometimes if the bull is not moving and it is just shaking its neck and making the sound, so how will you understand? So that villager, he said, he is a simple bull, he is not a logician like you. He is not a logician like you, and he won't do like that, because he is an animal, and he has no cheating propensity like you. Because in material world, what we see today's people, they have so many concoctions. What we see in the past, the scientists, they said we'll make Superman, super human beings. They were speculating. Now also they are speculating. Also they say a day will come, man will remain immortal. We'll make so many creams and medicines that will never grow old. Also, like one time it came in the newspaper, the scientists, they said that in the future the monkeys, they will take over the computers and stenography. You have to go and speak to the monkey, he will take all your, like we have police stations. So they say, they put one theory that in the future monkeys can be trained to operate the computers. But do you think it can happen? But that is their theory. What they say, a day will come. That's why what Prabhupada said, post-dated check. So this is what is called Anuman Praman. Anuman means okay. Like Prabhupada used to give the example of a Dr. Frog in the well. There was one frog who was a sportsman, and he came out of the well, and one day he saw Atlantic Ocean. So he was asking, this big, this big, this big. And today's astronomers, what they see, the galaxies. So what they are seeing, these galaxies, they are expanding. Now they can't make out how these galaxies can expand. And some galaxies, they are contracting. They are coming down because they have such a big telescope, but their mind is not so big. They may make a big telescope, but their mind can't go there. So what we see today's world, so everything what they say, what they do, everything is Anuman Praman. They say on the moon there is no life. So that is their speculation. And now they say, now we are going to Mars, Uranus, and now they have lost the contact with the Mars. What satellite they sent there, and the contact is lost. So okay. Now the third, what we come across every day, that is called Shabda Praman. In today's world, we are living in the Shabda Praman. What Prabhupada explains here, Krishna is telling that Tasma Shastram Pramanam Te. Shastra Praman means Shabda Praman. So Prabhupada explains that the scriptures, they are apaurushaya. They are not being written or told by persons with conditioned nature, with 4 defects. So they are called apaurishaya. And this knowledge, what we see Shabda Praman, it comes in disciplic succession. It is coming in a proper disciplic succession. And that's why Prabhupada also, as I told you, the example of a child, if you wants to know who the father is, the mother is the real authority. So similarly, the Shrutis, they are considered to be like our mother. And any questions, any queries we have, that we have to refer to the scriptures. So Prabhupada explains further the highest perfection of Vedic knowledge, knowing Krishna. Prabhupada here mentions Bhagavad Gita 15.15, second part. Vedesya sarver aham eva vede vedanta krit veda videha chaham. So this verse, the first half explains that how from Krishna comes remembrance, knowledge and forgetfulness. And the second half of 15.15, Krishna explains that the ultimate goal of Veda is to understand me in the sense Krishna. So the 15th chapter, what we see, it is mentioned as Purushottam Yoga. It was going on during the Adhik Mas. So Purushottam means the Lord who is highest among the Purushas and highest amongst all the incarnations. Krishna is called Avatari. He is not an avatar. He is not an incarnation. Etecha amsakala pumsa Krishnastu Bhagwan Swayam. Krishna is the Supreme Lord, and from everything emanates. And we should know that just by knowing Krishna, there is one Upanishad called Manduka Upanishad. Prabhupada he quotes in certain places. So he explains that in the Manduka Upanishad there is one verse called Yasmin Vigyate Sarvam Evam Vigyatam Bhavati. That means by knowing Supreme Personality of Godhead, everything becomes known to a devotee. Just by knowing the Supreme Lord. Like one example is given, like when you are cooking. While cooking, what happens, sometimes you want to check whether the rice got cooked or not, or dal. So you open and you just take one grain and you press it. So just by pressing that one grain, you come to know, yes, all other grains they are cooked. So Prabhupada explains that one who becomes a devotee, so just by understanding Krishna, he comes to know everything. Like we know the spiritual master of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Who was spiritual master of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati? Gaur Kishore Das Babaji. He was not a very learned man, but he was the highest authority. He could quote anything. So he never went to school. So what we see when we come to devotional service, so everything becomes known. It is because Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita 10.10. Anyone knows what is 10.10? Bhagavad Gita 10.10. Tesham satatu yuktanam bhajatam priti purokam dadami buddhi yogam. Krishna inserts that whatever card it is, USB or whatever it is. So he will put in our mind is what knowledge is required as and when it is required. So that should be known to us. Once just by taking to devotional service, it can happen. So Prabhupada further quotes Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu on how to achieve the highest perfection very easily. He explains, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he told, simply engage in devotional service, eat remnants of Krishna's prasad. So that it should be done. We should know that always we should take Krishna prasad. Oftentimes Prabhupada used to tell his disciples that you should take always Krishna prasad, because that prasad also has that potency which can elevate us. So Prabhupada further he quotes, what status one achieves by the above process of devotional service? One is understood to have studied all the Vedic literatures and has come to the conclusion perfectly. So how we can purify those engaged in devotional service? It is Prabhupada explains here that Vedic injunctions is that do's and don'ts, how to follow the Vedic scriptures without argument and alterations. So now this also we should understand what Prabhupada explains, without argument and alteration. In today's world, like you can put argument, you can put so many arguments. Like recently one person was hanged in India. So many people are giving argument back and forth, he can't be hanged. And some were telling, no, he should be hanged. So, but the scripture is not like that. That there you can't put your arguments. So, in English there is a saying, especially in this cricket, they say umpire decision is final decision. If he just raises the hand and just put your head down, walk off. So, it is like Krishna, whatever Krishna says, that should be the ultimatum. In 6.47 Krishna explains. What is 6.47? Yoginam api sarvesham mad gatera shraddhavan bhajadayam. Krishna explains, that is my opinion. So here Krishna's opinion prevails. We should know the opinion of the scriptures. That's why Prabhupada explains, like in India, whenever it is something comes, something is told, so people ask where it is quoted. People want reference when you go to court and all. So there also they have to give reference of different cases where what happened. So Prabhupada explains the standard Vedic scriptures which make them unquestionable. They are free from 4 defects. So what are the 4 defects? Anyone knows? That is called Brahma. Brahma means illusion, not Brahma. Brahma means illusion. Karana Patva means imperfect senses. And Pramada means mistakes. Vipralipsa means cheating. So in material world, what we see today, everything is going on this basis only. In material world, whosoever is ruling, whatever it is. So these kind of things are going. So Prabhupada explains further that aversion to the principle of understanding the Supreme Person of Godhead is the greatest offense of human life. So what we see in today's world, even if you tell the scientist, this is mentioned in the scripture, that theory of evolution, or the, like just 50 years back, the doctors, they didn't know, the medical science, they didn't know about the embryo, the science of embryo or embryology. They didn't know how the embryo grows in the womb of a mother. In the scripture it is mentioned Bhugola. Bhugol means the earth is round, and there are, how many islands are there? Saptadvipa. There are 7 islands. So this way in the scriptures also Prabhupada quotes, like it is mentioned that cow dung, it is considered to be pure, the urine and cow dung. Also the conch shell, although it is a bone of a animal, but it is considered pure because it is mentioned in the scripture. And also Prabhupada quotes that scientists, they have proved it has antiseptic properties and it doesnn't stink. From the cow dung, especially not the western cows, Indian cows, from cow dung there is a very nice smell comes. It is called agru. That smell is called agru. And in the childhood, what we see, Krishna, he used to play with the baby cows. He used to play with the calves. So this is what Prabhupada explains, because today in material world they have aversion for the scriptures. Ramanujacharya, in his commentary on this verse, he explains that why some people why they don't accept the authority. Because once you accept the authority, then you have to follow the scriptures. What is mentioned in the scripture, then you are eligible in the sense you are compelled to follow the authority. So once you accept someone higher, then you have to be under his jurisdiction. So that's why what we see in modern world, these people, why don't they consider, they know everything what is happening, they know human body, there is a consciousness, still they will not accept there is a soul in the body. They know the soul has left the body, they can't make it live, but still they will not accept that there is a soul. The symptom of the body is consciousness. Once this consciousness is gone, the body can't be made alive. They may give the theory, the body is acting with different chemicals. Okay, they are putting so many, okay, we can say you put all the chemicals, you make the life come back. That they can't do. At the most they may put some air, or they may give some pumping, so many other things. But they can't make a dead man alive. Why? Because they once accept there is a soul, then they have to accept the scripture. It is mentioned in the scripture, there is a soul. So that's why they don't accept this. Why? Because once they know, once we accept, then it will be like Praman, Ved Praman. That's why they don't accept. So they, because of this aversion, Prabhupada explains, because of the principles of understanding Supreme Personality of Godhead, the human, they are offensive to this understanding, and that is the cause of all fall downs in the human society. And what we see today, any scientist, any big philosopher, he may put forth any big theory, but all the theories they change after some time. What we see so far, last 200 years, all the theories they are changing. Let it be a theory of creation, Big Bang, any theory what you see, ultimately they are changing. Some new theories coming up. So Prabhupada explains, so the principles of scriptures are a must to achieve perfectional stage. And Prabhupada then quotes about personalist and impersonalist. What we see in India, there are always two kinds of people, this Mayavadis and this devotees of the Lord, and always there is a back and forth argument between them. They have their own way of understanding. That is another thing. So Prabhupada explains that one who is actually understands this purpose of the Shastras, he is fortunate. If we see in the end, so Prabhupada explains, one who understands the scriptures, that he is fortunate. Prabhupada explains that a person, those who are, Prabhupada explains, those who are some of the defects of human society which lead to the demoniac nature, status of life. If however one is able to guided, one is to be able guided by the bona fide spiritual master who can lead one on the path of elevation to the highest stage, then one's life becomes successful. This is what we should understand, that this is not so easy to come to such an understanding, because in today's world we are taught in such a way that we are always taught how to challenge. We are always taught how to challenge anything. So this is what is the material world. So Prabhupada explains that this way once we understand, yes, what I am hearing from the authorities, it is the truth. So Sridhar Swami, he has given a very nice commentary. I'll just read. Sridhar Swami explains, the irrevocable conclusion given by the Supreme Lord Krishna is that the Vedic scriptures are the sole absolute authority in ascertaining the applicability of all activities. What is prescribed in the Vedic scripture is the determining agent for what is righteous and what is unrighteous, what is to be done and what is not to be done, what is right and what is wrong. The whole pantheon of Vedic scriptures, including Rig Veda, Samveda, Yajurveda, Atharvaveda, the Puranas, including Bhagavatam, Upanishad, Vedanta Sutra, Mahabharata, Ramayana, all their auxiliaries such as Manu Samhita, Narada Pancharatra, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Tattva Sandarbha, Hari Bhakti Vilas, and such scriptures authorized by bona fide disciplic succession in one of the four authorized sampradayas. He explains that these are the real facts from where we can understand the reality. So also Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, he explains that only by following the scriptures one attains the supreme goal, and one can understand that yes, if I follow the right path, then I will be saved from going to the hell. Then Baldev Vidyabhushan, he also gives a nice his quote. He explains, since the tendency for lust, anger, greed, which are contrary to scriptures, deviate one from the goal of life. This sloka was mentioned by Krishna, Kama, Krodha, three ways leading to hell. So he quotes that. What he explains, that Vedas, which are perfect, not being written by man, is the authority which is the highest, Paramam. The statements composed by men who are subject to faults such as error are not authority. Thus the positive and negative injunctions of scriptures do not do certain things. Vidhana Uktam are stated by using the potential mood. You should do this, you should do this, or with the suffix tvaya after a verb. So this way he is explaining that we should be understood that this has to be accepted. So he explains in that manner. So these are the commentaries by our acharyas. So in conclusion, that we can understand. So what Krishna explains in this verse, that as a human being we should know what is duty, what is not duty, and everything should be understood from the Shastra Pramanam. Here Krishna explains that one has to understand from the Pramanas of Shastras. So Krishna here explains that the Shastram Pramanam te. In the first part of the verse, Krishna explains that we have to have that evidence from the scripture, not from mundane people. Hare Hare Krishna. So anyone has any argument or any questions can put forward.
Comments you should continue another half an hour.
Who?
Comments you should continue another half an hour.
Half an hour. No, that our program is only for 1 hour. So maybe there is another program. No, I am asking if you have any logical questions, you want to put another theory. If you have certain questions, you can put. No question. No, he doesn't have any question. No, he wants me to continue another half an hour. So he should be made in charge. So Bhagavad Gita ki. Okay.